Y'all, we need to talk about something that happens in the Twitter video space on YouTube. A lot of people out there are searching for how to get Twitter followers for free. And whenever you search for that on YouTube, you come up with some really questionable YouTube videos. All of these videos have a really horrible like to dislike ratio, which means a lot of the people who watch these videos heavily dislike what they watched. And almost every single one of these get Twitter followers for free videos are directing you to an app. So you download an app and then that's how you get tons of free Twitter followers. So you get the app, you download it, and some of these actually look so bad. Like the font for the follow numbers is completely different. It looks totally scummy. And some of them are actually data mining you. So they're taking private information that is stored on your phone and they're selling it out to other companies. There is a big ethical problem with these YouTube videos. And so I feel like you need to know information about how you can actually grow your Twitter followers without getting freaking scammed. Because unfortunately, these processes do not work. And I can say that because I have actually tried them. Whenever I first got started on Twitter, I ended up buying 1,000 followers because I thought that it would make my account look more serious, it would make people take me more seriously, and that would grow my followers faster, right? And there is a little bit of credibility to that thought. However, the process of buying followers is not the actual process that is going to get you the followers. What you're actually looking for isn't just a follower number. You want engagement. You want real people who are there to have a relationship with you, who respect what you do, and who actually retweet, comment, and like on the things that you create. If you try to buy followers to emulate having an actual audience on the platform, what's going to end up happening is those follow numbers will fall off because Twitter frequently does bot purges. And so what'll happen is you'll have 4,000 followers one day, but then in 2 weeks you have 3,500. And then 2 weeks after that you have 3,000. And then it just looks super fishy to everybody who is real on the platform, who could potentially want to get to know you, but they see these massive chunks being taken out of your follow count. We don't want you to look fishy. We want you to look credible, like an authority, like what you say actually matters so much that real people want to comment on it and interact with you. And you will not make that happen if you are using these free Twitter follower applications. They just do not work. And Twitter doesn't work that way either. It takes real content, real effort over a sustained period of time in order for you to grow any kind of following. Now, luckily, I have a few videos over this already. I actually own the most successful Twitter video on YouTube. Go and check that one out if you haven't already. And I've even done 2 more follow-up videos to that where I've gone into greater detail about the strategies that you can use to grow your Twitter account without having to use any of these I follow back or follow for follow or applications in order to do it. But I don't just want to make a YouTube video that's like, all these other YouTube videos are bad, go watch the ones that I made. Instead, what I want to do is give you some actual strategy that you can use in order to make your account grow followers, as opposed to having to use any of the scams that other people are trying to sell you. So I'm going to share some information that I haven't shared before. This is the actual process that you can use to grow your Twitter followers. All right, here's a real process. Let's do this. So the first thing that you need to do, of course, is create your Twitter account and set everything up. When a new potential follower sees your Twitter account or even just a tweet from you, the way that you're going to convince them to follow you is by having something for them. So you want to be creating content that is either educational or helpful or informative or entertains them in some way to get them to follow you, because that content is relevant and is something that they would want to see consistently on their timeline. The problem is that what a lot of people do whenever it comes to creating their account and setting everything up is they don't think about it from the perspective of the person who is potentially going to follow you. And so they don't communicate any of that credibility that they have into their bio section, their pinned tweet, their profile picture, or their banner. And what ends up happening is whenever you don't tell people why you are a credible person, why you deserve to be followed, and what you actually do for them, then they're way less likely to follow you. There are specific things that you need to communicate to convince someone to follow you. And really what they're looking for is for you to have some level of authority and credibility. I actually talk a lot more about that in this video, so go and check that one out if you haven't already. All you need to know right now as the first step in this process is set everything up, have a really great, clear information that communicates how your account is helpful for people, and have some level of authority in something, because the way that you position yourself on Twitter will convince people that you are a high value account that they should follow, or a low value account that they shouldn't pay attention to. Now, I mentioned positioning. The next step in this process after you have created your account and set everything up is that you need to figure out who is going to care about what you have to say. This is the same when you create any business or any YouTube channel or content in general. You can't just create everything for everybody. You have to choose a group of people that you specifically want to serve. Otherwise, you're trying to do too much, and it's just like a restaurant that's trying to do it all. You just can't do it right, Cheesecake Factory. Now, this can be really intimidating for people, especially if you're younger and you haven't quite figured out what you want to do with your life yet. You don't know who you want to help, right? So how the heck are you supposed to position yourself to help those specific people when you don't even know who they are yet? So what I want you to do here is I don't want you to attach yourself to the idea that the group that you choose has to be the group that you serve forever. You can always decide that you want to start serving somebody else. You can always change your mind. However, if you never make a decision about who your content is for and who it's not for, you're always going to live in this limbo where you're not really resonating with anyone and you're not growing an audience because you're trying to do too much, or you're just too scared to do anything at all. The thing that makes this choice hard is that whenever you do make a decision to serve a specific group, let's say I want to serve business owners, that means that I'm saying no to literally everybody else. And you feel like if you say no to all of those other people, then maybe you're saying no to the thing that really would have taken off for you. But if you never make a decision, you'll never know anyways. It's way better to choose an audience, serve them for an extended period of time, and then if you want to switch or you feel like you're not growing like you want to, then make that decision after you have already been decisive in choosing who the audience is that you want to serve. I have a really long training about how to choose your audience. It's like a 45-minute masterclass if you want to check that out. After you've chosen who your audience is, that's going to make it a million times easier for you to figure out who the people are that are going to care about what you have to say and what types of things you should be saying and who you should be interacting with to get the best results and engagement on your tweets. So in previous videos, I've called this like your Twitter tribe, which is a buzzword that a lot of digital marketers and online entrepreneurs use to try and just say that it's your group of people that care about you. You can use any word that you want for this, but essentially it's just the group that you are surrounding yourself with. After you've been on Twitter for an extended period of time, you really get familiar with how it works, and it's really easy to find your community on there after you have the first few people. So the way that you find those first few people is look for people that you already know and see if they have a Twitter account, follow them there, see who they're talking to there, and then you kind of just find the rest of the people by paying attention to who everyone else is paying attention to. It takes a little bit of time to find that group that you are going to kind of cement yourself inside of, but once you do, it makes Twitter a million times easier. So the next thing that you want to do in this process is create good content. Unfortunately, you can't create tons of bad content and expect lots of followers to follow you on any platform, whether that's Twitter or literally anywhere else. So what you need to be doing is learning how to create tweets that people will actually engage with, which I talk all about the 3 different types of tweets you should consistently be creating in this YouTube video. Now, sometimes the people who are looking for free Twitter followers are the kinds of people that they just don't want to do the work. They know what work they're supposed to do, but they just don't want to do it. And so they're looking for shortcuts around it. Most of the people that are searching for this term on YouTube, I truly believe, just don't know what they need to do in order to grow their follow count. And so that's why it's so important that you know exactly how to create really great content without having to rely on any of these other systems, because content is how you get your Twitter follower count to grow. Does anyone else get annoyed by the word content? What you tweet about can be really simple, y'all. Think about the emotions that you want to experience during your day. Happiness, motivation, being completely understood, and try to think about how you can communicate those things to other people on Twitter in the niche that you have chosen to create inside of. What you really want to do with your account is build up a lot of goodwill before you start asking for stuff in return. So don't ask people to go and watch your Twitch stream. Don't ask people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. Don't ask people to go and check out your website. Instead, just be helpful and insightful and try to become a thought leader in your industry. And if you can do that, that's going to make you a much more interesting follow. That's going to grow your followers to the point where you actually can start talking about the ways that people can support you in return. But you don't deserve support if you haven't been giving any of it first. Alright, so you've created your account, set everything up, figured out who your audience is, and you're creating a bunch of content. The next step, I tripped over my words for a second. The next step is growth. What types of things should you be doing in order to actually grow your account? So I talk a lot more about that in this video, but essentially what you need to know is that it is going to be difficult. Twitter is a lot easier whenever you have a lot of follows and you're already seen as a person who has a voice within the community that you're participating in. It is very difficult to become someone who has a voice within the community that you are participating in. The reason it's so difficult is because so many people on social media are trying to be in that position. Now, there's not a limit to the amount of engagement that you can get or give on Twitter. So there is no limit to the amount of people who actually can have a voice on whatever that they want to have a voice on for the niche that they choose to participate in. But the problem is that becoming someone who knows what to say and who has a reputation that backs up the opinions that they have can be really difficult. It is a learning process too. It's not something that if you have never been very great at Twitter before, or you don't have a ton of experience with social media, or you don't have a ton of experience with the thing that you're talking about, it's not something that is just going to be overnight for you. It's going to take time for you to learn how to get better and to improve, and it's not something that just buying followers is going to fix. But it is going to be really frustrating. See, I started on Twitter in 2008. I was really inactive the first few years. I got relatively active in 2013 and 2014, but my account didn't start getting really great engagement until about 2017. So I had 9 years on the account that just were nothing. And when I look back at those tweets from before I really had developed my voice, I could tell that I was so intimidated and so afraid of really sharing my opinions and standing for things and being a voice. And I wanted it. And I wanted it so bad, but I was so intimidated by it that I wasn't able to say the things that I needed to say in order to be the person online that I wanted to be. And so if you're in that situation where you don't believe in yourself, you don't have the confidence to say the things that you need to say, just know that it is completely normal. Sometimes it just takes time for you to get comfortable enough to be able to start saying those things, or you get so frustrated with yourself that you just start doing it anyways, if you're anything like me. Okay, the next step in this process is going to be a little surprising for some of you. Not all of you are going to agree with it, but I truly believe that part of this process for you of growing your Twitter account should include monetization. Yes, you can make money from Twitter. Twitter themselves is not going to pay you. However, if you have some kind of product or service, you can sell it on Twitter and generate an income for yourself. Believe it or not, you can do so well on Twitter if you find a great audience that has a great enough need, that wants the product that you're selling and wants to pay the amount that you're selling it for. You can become a full-time content creator or full-time whatever you want if your offer there is good enough. Now, I truly believe the best way to monetize your Twitter account is by having an evergreen digital product, which is something like an ebook or an online course that teaches people how to do something that you have done. I have made over $30,000 from my ebook by selling it, yes, on this YouTube channel, but a big portion of those sales comes from Twitter too. If you create a thing that's good enough, people will actually start sharing about it on Twitter. And so you'll get tweets from your customers who say things like, wow, this book was so good, or I can't wait to dive into this. And that is going to therefore sell more books for you without you having to take out ads, without you having to hop into people's DMs and sell the thing. And you don't have to do any work. You create the thing once and then you talk about it sometimes, or you just rely on word of mouth of your customers, and that is how you generate an income. It can be really easy. You can also monetize by doing sponsored posts if you get big enough, but honestly, I find sponsored posts on Twitter to not really be worth the money that sponsors pay for the Twitter posts. The engagement on them is really, really small. People do not like ads on Twitter. They just scroll past them, and it can be good if you are really great at giving testimonials or you do something that's totally different, but just having a tweet that advertises a product doesn't generally tend to do that well when compared to something that I talked about in the other YouTube video that I recommended earlier, which is like retweetable tweets or question tweets, things that are meant to get more engagement. And so just killing a ton of your engagement just to have a sponsored tweet isn't the best way to monetize. You want to add depth to your brand by giving people a way to get to know more about you and more about the things that you are an expert in. And so that's why I chose to have my ebook, which is a book for streamers. It's called Build Your Dream Stream, and I sell that as opposed to worrying about sponsors or promoting other people's products or doing affiliate marketing even, because this book has been so good for me. Let's be honest about follow count, y'all. Just because you have 100,000, 200,000, or 300,000 followers on Twitter doesn't necessarily mean that your voice matters more than somebody who has 1,000, 3,000, or 5,000. The reason for that is because a lot of people that have tons of followers have a very inactive follow base, and so you'll scroll through their tweets and they have like no engagement on anything, which means that even if they ask someone to subscribe to their YouTube channel or to buy their product, there's nobody there to do that anyways, and so they don't really have as much pull as you think that they do just because they have a follow count. What you really want is you want the engagement, which some channels, not YouTubers, some Twitter accounts can have with a very, very small follow count. So don't aim for followers, don't buy them, don't try to force people to follow you. Aim for creating stuff that is so good that people must interact with it. Now, obviously content is the most important thing. What a lot of people end up doing is using tons of hashtags, but guess what? You don't have to do that, baby. You do not have to use hashtags to get your tweets seen by more people, and I talk all about that in this video. Go and check that one out if you haven't already. I'll see you over there. Bye!